Hey, Algebra 1 kids, this is Dr. Callahan with week 1 Thursday. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a great week. So the following are your 3 questions for your warm-up block. So go ahead and pause it and answer the following 3 questions. Okay, we're going to go ahead and create the next assignment for you guys for Algebra 1. If you take a look at this right here, keep in mind that you have your first 3 assignments right here. You do, however, need to go and turn it in to get the academic grade. So if you have not been turning things in, but you've been viewing the assignment, you have been marked present, but you will not be getting the points for it until you actually upload the assignments on there. So just keep that in mind. All right, so for today, this is for week 1, Thursday, Algebra 1, Semester 2. And today we're going to talk about converting radical form to exponential form and vice versa. So your instructions for today is as follows. Okay, hold on a second. Let's see what is going on. Let's try to. Okay, let's go back to this. Here we go. Make sure you guys watch the video, view the assignment, make sure you complete all the things I asked you to do on the video. It should be equivalent of 55 minutes of instructions. Keep in mind that you viewing the assignment will be marking you present, which is good, but then your grade to get to a 60% or better is determined by you uploading your work. So that is critically important. Now, you know that the YouTube channel is going to be right here. In addition to, if you need to have hard copies, I do have the hard copies right outside my door, and this is your schedule for distance learning until January 15th. So for you guys, you are in period 1, that is starting from 8:30 until 9:15. So make sure you designate and reserve that time frame for this class. Every day you guys get 10 points if you go ahead and upload your assignments. Your assignments are due by 3:30 p.m. So keep that in mind on the day that it is assigned. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at today's assignments. So your guided notes should start right here. If you did grab the hard copy outside of my door, that's awesome because then you will have it. Starts on this first page right here. Then you have your second page, third page, and then your fourth page. So there are 4 pages, but I'm also going to go ahead and attach this separately. So that way, if you don't have a hard copy and you don't want to go ahead and save or print out, like let's say all of the pages from week 1 to week 6, you have that option of doing so because I'm going to go ahead and attach just as a week 1 Thursday. So you just print out the stuff that you need for today's, just for Thursdays. So with that, let's go ahead and see here. Let's browse this. Let's save this under Algebra 1. And today, of course, is week 1 Thursday. And so we're just going to go ahead and put down week 1 Thursday, Algebra 1, Semester 2, guided notes, converting radical to exponential form. And save. Okay, so then we're going to go back to Algebra 1 to make sure that that has popped up for the assignment. And it has, it's right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and reply so we can go ahead and attach it. And it is right here. Perfect. So if you click on this right here, then you will have the 4 pages that you need for today's lesson. Like that. And you can just print out the 4 pages rather than the entire 6 weeks. Although it will be easier if you just go ahead and grab a hard copy outside of my door. That works too. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started, you guys. So this was your last question, and here are your answers. And this is kind of coincide with, you writing the exponents in exponential form, and that is this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the black text is expanded form. So exponential form is essentially you're writing it in forms of exponents. So this is exponential form in red. Yesterday when I saw you guys, we went over a few things. We filled out this table. And we had this chart of things that we went over with the different types of examples. We went over the foldable with product of a powers, powers of a power, powers of a product, quotient of powers, powers of quotient, 0 exponent, negative exponent. These were all the rules that we went over with the 7 different flaps of the foldable. And then I asked you guys to go ahead and complete this worksheet where I ask you, you're going to manipulate these examples, and they look very similar, to see if it actually equals 5 to the 8th power. And this is the answer from yesterday. So you're welcome to take a look at that. So you can pause the video and check your work. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's stuff then. This is the breakdown for today. So just take a look at this very quickly. We're going to do a little tic-tac-toe review on exponents. And then my notes is going to be on writing radical to square root form with exponential to radical form, and then vice versa. All right, so first things first, I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to do like a rush check, to do as many as you can in 5 minutes on this very first page. So pause the video and go ahead and do as many as you can on the ones that you know. It's a quick review of exponents that we talked about for the last 2 days. Pause the video and go. All right, this one here is going to be for extra credit. You can pick one or the other. It's an algebra puzzle on exponents. So you can go ahead and raise your grade a little bit if you feel like you need to go ahead and do that. I haven't inserted any grades yet because it's always updated on Monday. So it will be done on Friday. This is my notes for today. So make sure you guys turn over to this page. And your tic-tac-toe is on the left. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is take a look at this. If you have a calculator at home, you want to make sure you take that out so that way you can see how to go about finding the square root and also the squares when you're doing this. So if you have a scientific calculator and you want to know how to do powers and whatnot, now keep in mind that there are 2 buttons that you need. The first button, if you were to go ahead and do the powers, is right here. Let's see. You want to, if you're looking for square roots, your square root is going to be as follows. If you want to do a power, let's say for example, like 2 to the 3rd power, how you're going to insert this is you're going to click on 2 right there. You're going to do the little caret, which is this button right here in white, and then click on 3, so move right here, and then enter. And what that will do is in your calculator, it's 2 to the 3rd power, which 2 times 2 times 2, 3 times, which is going to give you 8. Okay, so that's how you go ahead and use the square button. Now, if you were to do the power button, now if you're going to do like a square root, for example, do you see how the square root is right here? It's kind of like the back side. So what you want to do, if I want to do square root of, let's say 9, is you're going to click on the second button. And you're like, the second button? Yeah, so if you want to access any of these buttons, that's like not on the button itself, but like on the back of it, you need to click the second button first. Then you're going to click the x squared button. And then after that, you are going to go ahead and click on the number 9. And then click on equal. And that should give you a 3. Okay, so now that you know where they are, you should be pretty well versed with the usage of your scientific calculator. All right, let's go ahead and continue. So let's take a look over here. I want you guys to start off with reading this part. So take a moment and read that. All right, so when you have something that looks like in a form of exponents, this right here is called exponential form. The fraction is always going to be the power on top and the root on the bottom in the denominator, okay? We're going to be learning how to convert this to this form, which is called radical form, and it's called radical form because there is a radical there, a square root. And keep in mind that the root is always on the outside and the power is always on the inside. And we're going to do this kind of back and forth so that way you guys have so you're able to do this comfortably going forward and backwards. So let's take a look at number 1. 9 to the 1/2. So this is going to be your power. That's going to be your root. Okay. So if I were to convert this into a radical form, here's my radical. My root is on the bottom or on the outside, and my power is going to be on the inside. My root is a 2. My power is a 1. But remember with the square root, it already have a 2 there, so you don't actually need to write it. And then 9 to the 1 power is just 9, so you don't need to put the 1 there. Let's go on to the next one. Here we go. This one's going to be your power. This is going to be your root. So you're going to have 100x squared to the 1 power with a 2 on the outside, which is the same thing as just a square root of 100x squared. Well, I can break this down into the square root of 100 and the square root of x squared. And what is the square root of 100? It's just 10. And the square root of x squared is just x. So your answer is 10x. Okay, let's take a look at this here. Power, root. 32, square root of 32. Well, how can I break this down? What times what gives me 32, but one of them is a perfect square? And remember your perfect square are things like 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. And if you're like, why are these perfect squares? Because if I go ahead and put a square root on them, that's going to give me a 2. Square root of 9 is going to give me a 3. Square root of 16 is going to give me a 4. So I know I can go ahead and break this down so that way I have maybe like a square root of 4 and a square root of 8 because they still multiply together equal 32. I can break this even further so I can have 8 times 2 or 4 times 2 gives me an 8. So then what's the square root of 4? That's a 2. Square root of 4 is a 2. And square root of 2 just remains the same. So my answer is just 4 square root 2. All right, let's take a look at number 4. This one has a power of 1, so that's not going to change anything on the inside. But the root is a 3, so instead of putting a square root, you have a cube root. So let's break this down. Cube root of 27. Cube root of y to the 6th. So I can do that to y to the 3rd, y to the 3rd, because 3 plus 3 is a 6. So what's another way of writing 27 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is going to give you 27, or 3 cubed. So then what is the cube root of 3 cubed? It's just going to be 3. And with this one, you have a y outside, so your answer is 3y squared. All right, let's go ahead now take a look at number 5 to 8. When you're looking at 5 to 8, you guys notice what is the difference between 1 to 4 and 5 to 8. I think for 5 to 8, you have a bunch of negative numbers now, so that will change things up a little bit. So again, that's the power, that's the root. Well, unfortunately, you cannot have a negative square root. Because it just doesn't happen. It's going to be an imaginary number. So then what you need to put here is just put DNE, does not exist. Same thing with this one. Because anything with a square on the bottom, if you think about it, -6 times -6 is always going to be a positive 36. -8 times -8 is always a positive 64. You can never, I mean, these two numbers have to be the same sign. So there's no way that you can go ahead and ever get to a negative number. So anything with a square is always going to be does not exist. However, with number 7, notice that this is a cube, and a cube is odd. So with that one, it is possible to have a negative answer for this one. Because if I go ahead and put this in here, I have a -8 to the 1 power cubed. Well, I could have -2 times -2 times -2. And guess what? That does give me a -8. Okay, so then because I have a cube on the outside of the cube root, that means I need 3 of a kind of the same number to take that number out. And lucky for me, I have 3 -2s. So what is my answer? Just -2. But if it's going to be an even, like a square root, it must be positive. It cannot be negative. All right, let's take a look at this one here. So with this one, you have a 4 on the outside with a 60 on the inside. So what that means is I need 4 of a kind of the same number. So what can I get? Well, that's 4 of a kind. I could do a 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which does give me a 16. And do I have 4 2s or 4 of a kind? And I do. So my answer is just 2. All right, let's go ahead and go to part 2. Part 2 is asking you to put it into radical form. Now, I'm going to have you guys go ahead and do 9, 10, 11, and 12. So pause the video and give that a try. All right, let's go on to part 3. Part 3 is kind of the reverse or opposite. And it's the opposite because now I have everything inside of a radical form, and your job is to convert from this radical form into exponential form. And remember, with your radical form, power is always here with the A, root is always on the outside. And so to go from a radical form to an exponential form, it's A to the P over R. All right, so let's go ahead and label this one. Here, I have the 2 as my root, 5 is my power. So then if I were to put this into exponential form, 6, 5 over 2 is my answer. With number 18, 8 is going to be my power, 3 is going to be my root, so 7, 8 over 3 is how I would write it. Number 19, your power is going to be 1, okay? There's a 2 right there, and that's her root. So 8, 1 over 2. And then for this one, 1 is going to be your power, 3 is going to be your root. So 9, 1 over 3 is your answer. Okay, so now that we've done this, I want you guys to go ahead and do the reflection of the exit ticket. When it comes to writing things from radical forms to exponential form, what are you really good at? And then what do you feel like you need more practice with? So pause the video and answer those 2 questions. All right, let's go on to the tic-tac-toe review, okay? It says choose 3 problems in a row, in a column, or diagonal. Row means you're going this way, column means you're going this way, diagonal, of course, is like across like this. Solve the problem, show your work on a separate piece of paper, and actually you could just show your work on this piece of paper, circle the problem you chose on this page, and then reference them on your paper from the number. So you could pick any 3 questions that you would like, whether it's in the yellow diagonal, in the green horizontal in the row, or in the blue, which is column or vertical. So pause the video and pick any 3 questions to make a tic-tac-toe. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and go over to this page on the algebra puzzle. So on this algebra puzzle, you can go ahead and pick whichever one you would like. So that way you have this readily available to you guys to use. Okay, and so then what I'm gonna do is, let's go over one of the questions here from the algebra puzzle itself. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do number 17. Number 17 on what happened to the man who invested in a paper towel company and a revolving factory door. So this is the question right here, and it's asking you to go ahead and use rules of exponents and then also to simplify. So as I'm looking at this part right here, I'm gonna notice that I have a 4 and a 2, and I'm gonna multiply those together. So that's gonna give me an 8. But then I'll also notice with the x, I have x to the 1 power, x to the 4th power, so that's x to the 5th power, y to the 7, y to the 1 power, so that's y to the 8. Minus, let's go ahead and move on to the second part of this. 5 times a negative 8 is a negative 40. X to the 3rd, x to the 2nd is x to the 5th because you're adding them. Y to the 3rd, y to the 5th is y to the 8th. Double negative here makes it a positive. And notice, don't these have exactly the same exponent? They do. So that means I can combine the 8 and the 40 together. So that's 48, x to the 5th, y to the 8th. And that is your answer. So go ahead and pause the video and finish up. You could pick either one of these. Why couldn't the chicken find her egg, or the one on the bottom? All right, you guys, that is basically it for Thursday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And as always, stay safe and healthy. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.